Hi there, it's the Way Show. My name is Wole, and it's so nice to be with you again today, Sunday. Beautiful Sunday today. Sun came out, yeah, and the park very close to me quite had quite a lot of people today in there. I was actually very surprised. We're supposed to be on lockdown. What's going on with you people? What's going on with you folks? You know. Anyway, it's the end of another Sunday. It's the beginning of another week, and it's the Way Show. And please do subscribe to the show. First time watching the show, subscribe to it. Like all our previous editions, and including this one you're watching, please tell someone about us. Tell a friend, tell your family, tell everyone about the Way Show. Comes up every Sunday at 8 p.m. about this time. Okay. Today, we've got someone very mysterious and interesting we've brought to the show. She's going to describe herself, but she's someone I've already described as mysterious, very interesting personality. Someone who, if she would permit me to say, is a feminist, apart from being an author. Uh, she is um, she is someone. I'd rather let her describe what she is, okay? But she's such a wonderful fellow. And we'll be talking so much today about our books, romance, uh, love, sex. So if you're under 18 and you know you shouldn't be up at this moment watching this program, please do us a favor, go in, okay? So let me welcome Lani Leigh. Lani, thank you for joining us on the show today. It's a pleasure having you on the show to discuss your book. Um, Obviously, you'll be talking about the books today. And just to let you know, also, Lani is going to be giving away two of our books today. Okay, to anyone who's made who makes the most interesting comments on what we're going to talk about today. We'll be going on with a book signed by ourselves, by Lani. So, Lani, thank you for joining us. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Good evening. Thank you for having me.
Yes. Okay. Before we came on live on the show, we are talking about lockdowns. How's
Yeah.
it been for you, Lani?
Um, the lockdown, like I was saying earlier, I've been working from home for quite a while anyway, so it wasn't too difficult for me. Normally I'll go to the gym in the evening, let's say 4 to 5 times a week, but then
Hmm.
come lockdown, I couldn't do that. And that's what I found difficult because from being able to dictate whether I went out or not, and most of the time I did not go out anyway, to now being told that actually you can't go out. And then I actually regretted the days that I should have gone to the gym that I didn't because I was being lazy. But otherwise, it's been okay. Um,
Good.
yeah.
All right. Brilliant. Brilliant. Thank you, Lani. I'm sure for people watching us on the program, they'll be like, "Oops, who's that? Who's that woman behind the mask?"
Yeah.
Tell us who Lani is. Tell us who the woman behind the mask is, and tell us why the mask.
Okay. I'm just your average girl next door. Um,
Indeed.
just your average girl next door who likes writing scorching hot erotic fiction. And when I say it's scorching hot, it is scorching hot, especially from all the feedback that I've got from people who've read my book. The reason why I wear a mask is because when my first book came out, The Lekki Club, the main female protagonist actually wears a mask, but then the male
Oh,
protagonist as well, he wears a mask, but he doesn't actually wear a physical mask. He's actually pretending to be someone he's not. So, um, so the male protagonist in my book, who is called Remy, he goes about the world. He is a what you would call a playboy. A lot of people actually think he is a playboy, but he isn't because he's searching for something. He puts across a persona that he thinks people expect him to have, and it's not what he really wants. So it's all about masks and being with somebody who you can actually let that mask drop and be yourself without the fear of being judged. But it's now become my brand, so I'm going to stick with it. And the main reason because there's a lot of stuff in my book that I know that a lot of people have found quite uncomfortable. So even my family, some people have read it and said, where did all this come from? We need to go to church next week, and I just run away when they say that. So yeah.
You know what? When I was preparing for this, I was wondering maybe by tomorrow my Reverend Father would be calling me to church for special deliverance. But if that happens to Lani, be sure that I'll be dragging you along with me. Okay?
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, Lani, tell us about your book, not just your book, your books,
Okay.
the Lekki Club, and obviously the new book that you just written and it's just come out. And obviously the Lekki Club was well accepted. I mean, fine. I mean, that probably would be issues regarding to what you write, which obviously um, is expected, so to say, because maybe the people that are targeted obviously to read the book might find it very uncomfortable reading or probably talking about it. They might find it a bit controversial, but it was well accepted, well reviewed. I saw quite a lot of wonderful reviews about it on Amazon, on where have you. Um, Tell us about that book. Why did you decide to write a book like that? Why do you dabble into sorts like that?
Um. So actually, when I actually wrote the book, I was traveling a lot for work. I was actually working for one of the big four supermarkets, and I would have to drive. That supermarket is in the Midlands, but I won't mention names, so people can add one and one together. And so, and I'd always wanted to write anyway.
Hmm.
And at that time, the book that I shall not mention came out as well, and everybody was raving about it, and people were saying it was this, it was that. And I looked at it and I said to myself, Lani, you can do better than this. And one thing was, I've always wanted to write, but the work that I normally do, my 9 to 5 job, I work in the IT industry, which is another thing why I wear the mask as well, because I don't want people um, being able to add one plus one together to say that, oh, it's the same Lani that, we
Hmm.
sit down
Hmm.
with in board meetings all the time. So I said that, I can do better than this. And I didn't see myself represented in the whole plethora of books because that book spawned a lot of books. And whenever I went into, I'm one of the people whereby if you take me out with my girlfriends, we go to a shopping centre. I'm the only one who will say, I'll meet you in an hour because I'm going to the bookshop. So, and they normally say, don't let her go into the bookshop because you'll never get her out of there. So I would go in there, and there was a whole plethora of books, blue eyed, blonde, dominant man doing this to a woman. And I just said that, give me a break. I've had enough of this. Where am I being represented in this? And I just said that, since you're complaining, why don't you do it? And I was writing another book at the time, which I was having difficulty finishing because it was quite dark. It's a horror book that relates to something that happened in England, I think maybe 15 or 16 years ago, which will come out next year. And I said that, okay, let me write something totally different and write this. And that's how the Lekki Club came to be, which was, um, a female dominant with a male submissive. And why I thought that, I would do that is because there are quite a few people, both sexes, whose sexuality is misunderstood. And when I talk about sexuality, I'm just talking about the normal sex a man and a woman, would have. And what happens is most people are shy or aren't um, courageous enough to tell their partner that this is what I want. And I believe that of all the people, the most misunderstood species of the human race is the male. I believe, the are. the male species, because they're born, they're expected to know a lot of things. Women are trained to, you must do this, this is how you please a man, this is how you do this, this is how you do that. But most of the time, there is nothing like that for a man. So, men come into the world, they get into their first relationship, their first sexual relationship, they're meant to know everything: what turns on a woman, what to say, what not to say. Nobody sits down to talk to them to say that actually you don't do this or you don't do that. So I said that, let me write it from a male's perspective. So it's not written from a woman's perspective. The main protagonist in the Lekki Club is a man, and it's his
Mm.
story, from him telling us that, this is who I am normally, because this is what people expect me to be, to who he really is. And when he then meets the woman who he thinks that I can be open with, I can tell her what I really want and really need, then he can take the mask that he wears off and be open with her. And that's why I wrote it, because I wanted people to also see black people in a different light. Because if we take American urban fiction, which is what the main black fiction is in America. It's all about drugs, baby mamas. You know, the men aren't actually portrayed to be as responsible as I believe black men are. So, and I didn't like that, and I said that I will never do that. I want people to see, especially Nigeria, come to Nigeria and see responsible black men who have a family behind them, who have responsible parents, and who are responsible and doing well themselves.
Mm.
Yeah.
I from what you just said, I think one of the reasons why um, one of the things I actually picked from listening to you just now, and obviously some of your past interviews you've done, is I just said it about men being the most understood, um,
Misunderstood.
misunderstood,
Yeah.
misunderstood species,
Yeah.
and I totally believe that, and especially when you zero into African men, Nigerian men specifically, we are never told how to uh, behave with regards to women. Women are taught how to uh, prepare
Yeah.
for a man,
Yeah.
cook for a man, behave for a man. But on the other side, we're not. We learn along the road. We make mistakes, and then we learn from our mistakes. We make mistakes again. We learn from it again. Why do you think this is so, especially when you come to the Nigerian society? Why is it difficult to sit a Nigerian male child down and say, all right, this is what you need to do when you meet a woman or meet a girl, or when you first, what do you say to a girl when you meet a girl, when you go on a date? Why is it so difficult to talk about issues like this, especially um, with people our generation?
One thing that I would say is, I think the reason being is that if we take Nigeria as one country out of Africa, we're the most prayerful country, I will say, in the world. And as far as Nigerians are concerned, we do not do sex. Children just come out of the sky, and are just, we see them at the front door. People seem to be, they don't want to talk about it. And it seems as if there's also something in our society. If you look back, let's look back at our fathers, our grandfathers, and if, with the knowledge that we have now, unravel some of the relationships they had with some particular women. The women they had, somebody would turn around and say that he would do anything for that woman or he would do this. It's because maybe that woman gave him the opportunity to communicate with her, to actually. So he came in maybe one day, and most probably, most of the time, it will be his side chick or whoever it is. He came in one day, he's looking, I don't know, Maurice, or what's wrong with you? Oh, and then she keeps on asking, what actually is wrong with you? You know, it's got nothing to do with the fact that your car broke down. It's got nothing to do with the fact that, somebody shouted at you. And the man, that very few of them might then turn around and say that, oh, this is like an extreme example. I don't know. I used to be able to go for 10 minutes. I can now only go for 1 minute. And she turns around and says that, okay, what's on your mind? He's taken that plunge to say that the thing that makes him a man is what's worrying him. It's not all these other things because he knows that he can do all of that. It's that most innermost vulnerability. And the thing about it is that men, especially in Africa, are taught not to show emotion. If you show emotion, a woman is going to take advantage of you. And actually, it's not that way. You know, either sex, if you show emotion, a man can take advantage of you, a woman can take advantage of you. But once you meet that person that you can really open up to, you know, a lot can happen and a lot can change. And I think that is the issue that we have. We are told, men are told, man up. You're not supposed to cry, all this stuff. But men are human beings. Just because they've got balls in between their legs doesn't make them not cry when they see an emotional film, doesn't make them not want to have tears in their eyes when somebody does something nice for them. So until we get rid of that, and men are taught that, it is okay to have emotion. It's like when I had my book launch in Atlanta, and people, I had all races, all ages who came there, and a lot of men said the same thing, that when it becomes normalized for a man to say that I want to be a sexual submissive, a lot of things will change because men will be able to talk and say what they really want to say. So I think maybe it's cultural. Look how long it took maybe for the West to be able to come out, for the men to be able to say that, I can cry, I do have emotions. So maybe eventually we will get there.
Hmm. So the key thing is we need to communicate.
Yeah.
All right, we need to have better communication within ourselves.
Yeah.
In whatever relationship we are.
Yeah.
So it takes me to this question: communication within marriages. How key is that, and especially within the African context again? Because our fathers, our forefathers, and what have you, I've got this idea of that. I am the head of the family, and no doubt in that. Okay, they don't see the woman as a partner in the marriage. No, woman is supposed to be submissive. So I can decide today that okay, I'm married to Lani. All right, tomorrow I think I want to go get married to Kenny. Next tomorrow I want to go get married to Janet or what have you. It's that culture, tradition, is it evolving nowadays within the African context, especially zeroing in again on Nigeria?
I think that the once a lot of people have made mistakes, our generation, our parents' generation, the next generation, they're going to make mistakes as well. But I think that the most important thing is people need to learn how to talk. And the thing about it is that I'm telling you, if you can communicate with your partner sexually, there is no other problem that you're going to have that is going to be insurmountable. Because for you to be able to tell your partner that, look, and you say it in such a way to say that, babe, the way you press that, I don't like it. It's not doing anything for me. But if you move your hand this way, but if you say it in such a way, if you move your hand this way and do it this way, look at the way that I feel. And if the person is open and you give them the opportunity to be open enough to accept, you don't, it's the way that you say it, which is why people in BDSM relationships, which is has got everything to do with communication. Because before I go ahead and say that I want to tie you up, for instance, I've got to get your consent. And once I do tie you up and we finish that role play, I then come back to you and ask you to say that, okay, I tied you up, I put some ice cubes on you. How did that feel? And I'm not going to leave you until you tell me exactly the way you felt. And that opens enormous doors of communication between two parties. And so you can see that once you get past that stage, there's nothing that you can't tell the person, that you can't wake up the next morning and say that, I don't really want to go into work today. Somebody's bullying me at work that you never knew, because you think that this person is macho, is this, is that. And that is what opens up the doors for communication. But the thing about it is that how do you speak to your spouse? Because I've been invited to places to talk whereby, and a lot of the men asking me, how do I go about asking my wife? Because I'm not interested. I'm expected to do 2 minutes. I actually am capable of doing 10. But the minute I decide that I'm going to do 10, he says the next thing I'm going to get asked is, who have you been with? What is happening? What is this? So, but it's how you maybe, babe, I saw this on the internet. Why don't you come and look at it? Which is why when people buy my book, I say, buy it for your partner. Just don't read it alone, so that, you can both read page 67 or 68 together and go and practice it in the room 3, your own room 3 that you have at your home. All down to talking. We do not talk. But unfortunately, one thing that I do say is that domesticity, once people live together, the domestic chores, life hits them, it blunts sexual desire. And it's people who actually make the effort that will keep sexual desire alive, burning, volcanic burning. It takes effort to keep it that way, because otherwise it just dies.
I've got I got a friend, and I remember when we were discussing some time ago, and he was saying to me, "Guess what, Wally? My wife came up one day with some coughs, and was trying it on. I'm thinking, what the heck is going on with this woman? What are you doing? Why do I need this? And I told my wife straight up, stop it. What's all this? And I was like, yeah, but I didn't know what to say to this person. So it comes to this question: Do do you need to be very open-minded when it comes to your marriage, and does it work in marriages and relationships?
You have to be open minded, because let me give you an example. You meet your wife at the age of 23, and this is the question that I ask. There's some people who met at the age of 23, 25, or 25, 27, had the best sex of their lives the minute they got married. Now, you that when you were 23, 25, 27, 28, were doing it in the car, were doing it in the field, got stopped by the police because you were doing it in a cul-de-sac or something. What happened when you got married? You got married, then you had kids. Fine, you might not be able to do that anymore. So you then go through those years whereby it's a rush. The children have demands on you all the time. You then get to the stage whereby everything's settled. You want to re-explore your sexuality, as your friend's wife turned up and said that, what, you know, I want to re-explore. And who do I want to explore my sexuality with? It's got to be her husband. It's got to be, or his wife. So, but for him to turn around and say that, what is all this about? Because people change as they get older. Women's sexuality, women's libido increases the older they get. The men's libido wanes. And that is a big mismatch that people don't realize. And the man, if you really want to satisfy your woman and you don't want her to become a frustrated, nagging person, because that is the thing. As men suffer from sexual tension of not being having what they want, it's the same with women who will have sexual tension of not getting the sex that they want as well. So it's a two-way street. So the older you get, men and women will have to adjust to say that, okay, um, my husband has come back home. He wants to try the cross. Should I really be saying, I'm a 40-year-old woman, I've got to go to church tomorrow. I don't do things like that anymore. Should a man turn around and say that, I'm a 40-year-old man, I don't do things like that anymore? And a lot of men that I've spoke to who have read my book, who are divorced, have actually come back to say, um, maybe when my wife wanted to go down on me for the first time, when I pushed her away, should I have been a bit more open minded? A lot of men have come back to me to say that, if they had this book, a lot of the things that they did in their first marriage or in their long term relationships, they would have taken a step back to say that actually, let me think about this and be more open minded. You have to be.
Hmm.
So,
Very, very, very interesting. Very, very interesting. I'm actually finding this very interesting, to be honest. Just before we go on, well, just to let everyone that's watching that we do have two books to give away. Lani's got two books to give away. So please keep your comments coming. Keep your questions coming. We intend to give two books away today to the best comments. And obviously, you're looking at the two books that Lani just wrote, and Lekki Club. We're hoping to give some away today. So please keep those comments coming. All right. I don't want to keep these books all to myself. Okay. Not to me and Yomi. We want to give it out. All right. So please keep them coming. We're going to go on a very short break, Lani. And when we
okay.
come back, I just also want to ask you a question about how Africans generally, and it's zeroing in on Nigerians are changing the views towards sexuality. Okay,
Yep.
we're going to go on a quick break, and we'll
No
come
problem.
back and I'll take your answer on that.
Okay. Thank you.
It's still the Way Show, and my name is Wole, and been having a very interesting conversation with Lani Leigh, who is an author and a feminist, and we've been talking so much about romance, about love, about changing one's view about sexuality and all that. And I say to you honestly, it's been very interesting. Again, don't forget that we're giving out two books, personally signed by Lani. We're giving away to you out there. So come up with your comments. We've got the best comments. Obviously, we'll be getting two of the best comments. We'll be getting two books, courtesy Lani, who is with us today on the show. Before we went on the break, Lani, I was just saying, do you think there's been a change in the way Africans, again, zeroing in on Nigerians, how they view sexuality now? I mean, compared to what it was in the past.
I do think so. A lot is changing. People are a bit more open about their sexuality, especially the whole LGBT movement in Nigeria is becoming a bit more open. It's not in the closet as it used to be. So I think with that, things are changing, and yeah, and I hope that that change spills down into families as well, and couples, and being more open to talk about stuff. Who would have thought 10, 15 years ago that there'll be loads of sex toy shops in Nigeria? There are loads of them. So yeah, so I think things are changing for the better.
I, And I remember the certain book you talked about that time that came out and obviously metamorphosized into a movie. And quite a lot of people in Nigeria, in Africa, actually all over the world actually accepted it.
Yeah,
Most of them did not read the book, but they did watch the movie and then
yeah,
they went back to read the book. And it all created a new atmosphere of I like to know, I like to explore. And then came this in conjunction with reality TV, Big Brother, Nigerian, what have you, this come on, and it made it look like sex is big. It
yeah.
is big business. Okay, so with that in mind, would you say that the typical Nigerian person is now being living that idea of being conservative and exploring, especially within relationship. Now I'm talking about a marriage and proper relationship. Not talking about side boys, side girls, or what have you. Do you think that they are now beginning to explore? I mean, going by experience, you've had talks around the world, and so many people of Nigerian origin have come to you. Would you say they've now they're now open to being open minded in their marriages and relationships, and willing to try different stuff, like you mentioned in your books?
Yeah, I think people are now thinking to say that, I'm going to be a bit more open minded. I'm going to be able to say, what I want. Um, there's a particular popular blog, for instance, um, in Nigeria, whereby, people come to that blog, to talk about their problems, their issues, and some of the advice that people are given when it comes to sexual relationships and sexual matters. It goes to show that people in Nigeria and Africa, because it's not only Nigerians who respond on that blog, um, people's attitude to sex has changed and has become more open minded. Because, you know, maybe 20 years ago, I do not think that anybody would advise a man to say that this man said that, his wife is very sexual, she likes sex, he likes the fact that she likes sex, but unfortunately he can't do as much as he wants. And there are people telling him that, okay, if you can only do X amount of seconds or whatever, and she hasn't reached her peak, maybe why don't you introduce sex toys? 10, 20 years ago, would I be actually sitting down with a mother or a grandmother or an auntie in Nigeria and talking openly about sex toys? That will never happen. But
Mm.
people are now telling people these are the kind of things that you can do to help improve your sexual relationship, and everybody's happy. You're both still committed to each other, you're both exploring each other, and as long as you tell each other, that I liked what you did last night or I didn't like what you did last night, but you say it in a loving way, you know, each party knows what they need to improve on because you're all working towards the same goal.
Hmm. Tell us about your new book. Is it more like a sequel or prequel to Lekki Club? Is it something totally different? Um, what do you hope to achieve with writing the new book?
So with Hell Have No Fury is a book whereby I collaborated with 19 other African authors in Africa to bring about the first Christmas romance anthology. So, with everything that's happening, Black Lives Matters and SARS, and one of the biggest problems that we have in the publishing world at the moment is it is very, very what is it, Caucasian centric. It's with the it's with all the stuff that happened with Black Lives Matters that the publishers are now turning towards other places and saying that hold on a minute, we need to diversify our portfolios. There are millions. If you look at Nigeria, for instance, Nigeria has got 140 million people, I believe, you know, at the last census. And we are one of the best read countries in the world. We will read anything. And we will read anything because of the fact that most of the time our schools are closed, there's no electricity, so you read. You know, if I remember growing up, I was a bookaholic. As long as there was papers and words on it, I would read it. I can't remember how many times I read the William Shakespeare and the Bible back to back because I had nothing else to read. So these people are now thinking that, you know, we need to look towards these people for the next wave of books and stories, our own stories. We'll be able to tell it the way we want to be able to tell it, not the way somebody, a Caucasian, sits in it. No offense to anybody, but, you know, somebody sitting in Scotland cannot come to tell me that this is the way we do things in Lagos. It's, you know, the experience is going to be different. So we then decide that, you know, it's our opportunity to show the world what we are capable of. So there's people from not only Nigeria, you've got people from East Africa, you've got people from Ghana, and we did all of this without arguing about jollof rice.
Nah, that's not interesting. Come on. How can you do that without arguing about your love rice?
So yes, so there's 20 stories in it, and there's a story in it for everybody. There's um there's murder, there's the paranormal, there's mixed race relationships, there's, you know, a lot of stuff. Um, East Africa, other parts of Africa, and all the funny things that happen in Africa as well. So yeah, that's why we decided to come together to show the world because there hasn't been a Christmas romance anthology, and we decided, you know, this is what we'll do, and you know, show the world what we're capable of. So yeah,
Hmm.
so that's what
Another
we
thing I want to, yeah, go on, Lani.
yeah, and that's what we did. So I will say that people should what is the word? You know, buy the book because they will not be disappointed. It's different stories for everyone. The theme of my book is absent fathers, but I won't say more than that. Absent, you know, was he absent because he wanted to, or was he absent because, you know, there were circumstances out of his control, which goes back to, even though I do say I'm a feminist, but, you know, we've got to be real and fair sometimes to some things that happen in the world because, yeah, so that's what I added my contribution to it. But there's a lot in there that a lot of people will really enjoy.
Brilliant. So, are we expected to see any of your books go on screen? I mean, we've seen that book you talked about.
Yes,
That obviously. So, are we looking? Are we going to see that anytime pretty soon?
yes, I'm working on a screenplay now. Not my book, but there's a director in the UK that I'm working. I've signed an NDA, so I can't really tell you what we're
Go
working
on.
on. So we've got this particular film that script that we're working on, which in terms of Nollywood will blow people's minds. And based either considering the fact that I then watched 365. Have you watched 365 on Netflix, Wally? Have
Yeah,
you?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
You
yeah,
watched it,
yeah.
yes?
Hmm.
I watched that and I said to myself, you know, it's no different to my book. So yes, I am actually my next project after writing the sequel to the Lekki Club, which is nearly finished. My next project after that will be writing the screenplay for the Lekki Club. So
Wicked. That's
yeah.
that's going to be explosive. I mean, we can't wait to see that, and hopefully you'll probably get that note from Netflix for it to get on there because, like I said, as nothing as big as that has ever come out of Africa and indeed Nigeria. All we see is what we see. So we'd
Yeah,
like to see something more explosive,
yeah.
from another level. That's brilliant. That's brilliant, Manny. So wait, you're writing on a sequel to the Lekki Club.
Yeah, the sequel to the Lekki Club is actually called My Grandfather's Inheritance. Um,
Wow.
it's it mixes erotica, African history, African artifacts, and based on the fact that all this Black Lives Matter happened as well, it's very, very apt for what's going on around the world at the moment. So I know that it's a book that will make waves and make a lot of people uncomfortable
Mm,
when it comes out because it's got to do with identity. Who do we really think we are? A lot of us who actually think that um, we are 99% black will be surprised to find out that we're not. So
mm.
I won't say more.
Wow. You won't say more than that. I'm already getting excited about that. I
So
want
yeah,
to see what my other 1% is. I
yes.
don't know, Chinese, but
Well,
I,
yeah,
I, I'll leave it to that.
yeah,
So, Lani, I want to thank you for coming on the show. But before we go, I think we've got one out of the two people we're going to be giving out the book to.
yeah.
Timmy Waters. Timmy's engaged quite a lot. Timmy, if you're watching now, could you do us a favor? We would we would try and get in touch with you. What I would do is my producer Yomi is going to get in touch with you, so we would know how to send the book to you. Okay. So Timmy Waters, if you are listening, if you're still watching, I know you are. What you can do is get in touch with us on Instagram. Okay, please, if you can, get in touch with us on Instagram and our Instagram account handle is there dot way dot show weekly. Please get in touch with us on Instagram and DM us, and we're going to arrange to ship your book to you. So the second book, obviously, we will be hoping someone will win that. We will be giving that as a Christmas getaway, sorry, giveaway, and we will hopefully get in touch with Lani, obviously, when we get a second winner for that book. But Timmy, thank you so much for that interesting comments, and DM us. You'll won yourself a book signed by the mysterious person herself. Okay, that's what I'm calling her. so, so, Lani, thank you so much for your time with us. I mean, it's interesting. Okay, I could do this with you for all day. All right, but we will once you're getting ready for the sequel and obviously the big event, we'll hope to bring you back in and we'll talk about it. Thank you so much, Lani, for your contributions and talking to us today. Wishing you all the very best.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
All right.
Okay, so Timmy, yes, you won. And please get in touch with us on Instagram. Like I said, it's there, okay, .way.show. It's on Instagram. DM us, and we'll arrange for your book to be sent to you, signed specially by Lani Leigh. Okay, so we will go on a quick break. When we come back, we're just going to digress a bit. We're going to move from the world of romance, love, and erotica. We're going into basketball. Okay, so we're going to be talking about the NBA. So quite a contrast. All right, stay with us. We're just going to go on a quick short break and come back and we'll talk basketball. Welcome back to the show. My name still remains Wole after the explosive encounter with Lani. Um, and once again, congratulations to Timmy Waters. Timmy, please try as much as possible to get in touch with us on Instagram, okay, so we can get your book to you. Like I said, personally signed by Lani herself. All right, and make sure, Timmy, you tell somebody about this show. Subscribe to our show, okay? We're giving something out to you, and so subscribe to the show. Keeping up with the Hammer. Did I get that right? Said congratulations to Timmy. Okay, thank you for that. Like I said, we're going to talk a little bit about basketball now. Okay, and I've got Femi Adefeso here with me. And I'll be talking about basketball. Femi, so delighted to have you on the program. Thank you so much for your time. So we're going to be talking to you today about basketball. Especially, we're going to be talking about the NBA draft. Excitement all around. I mean, Nigerians just blowing up NBA like as it should be, really. Femi,
Yeah.
Femi is the founder of Ball Africa. Okay, and so Femi, it's so nice to talk to you. And I remember one of the things I said I was going to ask you today. You were the only African, yeah, in the locker room that day, and you interviewed the great King James. How did it feel
Right.
for you? How was it?
Well,
The imposing man himself.
it was exciting, but before I go into that, I want to say a very big thank you for having me. Huge pleasure to be here. I've been following the show on YouTube, and so finally being here is one of those boxes I've ticked off my to-do list. So thank you very
Thank
much for
you. Thank you. Thank you, Femi.
for having me tonight. Yeah, going back to that day, I think that changed everything for me, personally and career-wise. Having to be in that locker room at the United Center, which made it double exciting because United Center is the home of the Chicago Bulls, so the great Michael
Yeah.
Jordan used to use that particular area. And meeting
Mm.
LeBron was a whole ton of emotions, but I had to take advantage of it. So we had this, so, yeah. I mean, we had about 40 journalists thereabout in that locker room, and everybody was, going question after question after question. And so I was beginning to think on the spot, what can I ask LeBron? What can I ask LeBron? I mean, I have to ask him a question. And it felt like everybody was asking all the questions I needed to ask. So boom, it was about that time that the Black Panther movie came out. And so he just gave me a very good question. How will it be like? Or what would he, think, embrace the idea rather of coming to Africa? Since everybody now is freaked about Wakanda and everybody wants to connect to motherland. So I asked him
Yeah.
about it and he was surreal. He gave me a very good response. Talk about the fact that he's heard a lot about South Africa. The NBA does a lot of things in Africa, and he would love to be there if he has the opportunity to. And that for me too has become a to-do now, finding a way to bring LeBron to Africa, because I think it would be
Wow.
huge for the
It would
kids,
be.
for the
Yeah.
development of the game as well. The
Yeah.
popularity is growing really fast in Nigeria and in Africa altogether,
Mm.
because now the NBA has a presence in Africa. They have an office in South Africa. They also want to start a league, which was supposed to start this year, but because of the
Mm.
pandemic, called the Basketball
Mm.
Africa League, didn't happen. They've kept postponing, but they've pushed it now to 2021. So you can see the interest is shifting towards Africa and doing stuff. So I can imagine someone like him, with everything he's done and what he stands for, coming just for a charity event or something towards that line, it would be really huge. So for me, it's one of my to do. It's one of the reasons why I started Ball Africa. Pretty much.
Well, that's going to be a blast if King James actually ends up coming to Nigeria, especially. I mean, it's going to be a massive, massive, massive thing. But
Right.
Femi, let just keep that dream alive, yeah. Keep that dream
Yes,
alive,
sir.
and obviously let us know, because we'll be very much interested to see King James come over there to Nigeria. Femi, let's
Right.
go now to the new breed of Nigerians in quotes now that'll be playing the NBA. The draft was, oh God, that day
It's massive.
I felt like 10 feet taller. You know what I mean? Seeing
Right.
African names, Nigerian names. Some of them are probably might not have come from Nigeria. People born in Nigeria like Precious, like Udoka. People with Nigerian father like Zeke, Desmond Jordan, and parents from Nigeria. All of them. I mean, it's big give us a feed of what that means. One to Nigerian basketball, and obviously to others coming, behind.
I mean, for Nigerian basketball, it's validation that we have talent. No question about it. That Nigerians can play basketball. They can play this game. Akim Olajuwon was drafted first overall pick in 1984, and by the Houston Rockets, by the way, won 2 NBA titles in the 90s, I think 94, 95. And ever since, we haven't really had the big name come through, though we've had, a few names come in, Afarouk Aminu, Ike Diogu, Olumide Oyedeji, and we've had all those names, but we've never really, it's been one in between the line. But this sort of solidifies the fact that Nigeria is legit. Like, we're a country that can produce talent when it comes to basketball, and we can dominate. So for us, first off, is validation about our talent pool, that even the government right here in Nigeria needs to start taking basketball serious. It's not just football, that can get us all the things that we need at the end of the day. So that's the start. The other part of it is also the attention it to bring from the US, from the international media and the international development programs. That look, we should perhaps look the way of Nigeria to invest in all these developmental programs, see ways to help improve the game. Because I mean, if you're an investor and you're a business person, you have a talent agency or talent management company, as it were, it will make all the sense in the world to begin to start looking for raw diamonds out here, so you can get them in. You just really, I like how you specified, the nomenclature of the talents. Three of those players, Isaac Okoro, Onyeka Okongwu, Daniel Oturu, have both parents Nigerian, so mother and father. They were just fortunate to have been born in the States. Precious and Udoka, you can add them to that list. So that makes 5 out of 8 that have both parents as Nigerians and going straight into the NBA. You have the other ones, you're not taking anything away from them. Jordan Nwora, Desmond, and Ezekiel, by the way. Zeke is just a short one. His first name is Ezekiel. So you look at it, Jordan Nwora already played on the national team. He went to the World Cup in China in 2019. He actually had a record. I think he scored 36 points in one of our qualifying games during the qualifiers to the World Cup in 2019, and he had 36 points. And on record in Nigeria, that's the highest number of points in an international game by anybody. And he did that at the age of 19. Now he's 21. But you could tell and you can see that we have all these guys very close to us. And it's not a case of a diaspora talent we are running after. All these guys are very much close to home. They affiliate with Nigeria, which is quite good. And so it just bolsters the whole narrative of just how great Nigeria basketball is and going to be.
We're looking at Udoka now, Udoka Azubike, Utah Jazz. And when I remember Utah Jazz, obviously we always remember Karl Mailman Malone. And it's this guy I saw on his Instagram when he was picked. I think 27 overall pick by Utah Jazz, and the emotion. I think mom with him. He was sitting on his settee on the phone, and obviously telling him, "Boy, you made the Utah Jazz." And you could see that emotion in him. It was really very. I could connect with him. I could feel him. He's someone that was born in Nigeria, had moved to the United States, and now he's going to be playing in the big league. What do you think he contributes? What is he going to bring to Utah Jazz that Utah decided, all right, you know what, we're putting our money on this guy?
A lot of things. This guy is massive. He's 7 foot. He's a giant. His span is 7'7". So you can imagine him just standing in front of anybody. That alone is a defensive threat. Rim protection off the cuff. And from the scouting reports, they say he has a very level head and he doesn't do more than he does. So which means he's a very teachable and coachable player, which is very great for any young talent going into the league. It's very important. I also think the addition of going to a team, that has some very good players. Rudy Gobert, the French guy, plays for Utah Jazz, and he's been Defensive Player of the Year a couple of times, alongside Donovan Mitchell, who, of course, is a great player. I think that franchise is emerging. They'll be one of those top teams in fighting for at least a place late in the playoffs, or getting to the finals if they can, because they did very well in the NBA bubble this time out. Also, you look at his experience in college. Now, Udoka has a very interesting story. In 2018, when I was in the States, he got Kansas, where he played, to the Final Four. And I remember he was one of the big players that were up for the draft. He actually put in for the draft that year, but he broke his wrist, and so he withdrew his draft from the state, because he was like, you know what, I will just wait. I wouldn't go. And his mom, there was a story about his mom trying to come watch the game, and now the school and the embassy were putting efforts together to ensure that his mom could come watch, because they were on the brink of getting to the finals and obviously winning the whole NCAA championship, which he eventually did not. So he withdrew. Then last year, he did the same thing. He went through putting his name up for the draft, and in between, he suffered a few injuries and he pulled back. And he was like, no, I'm not going this year. So him going a third time shows some level of mental fortitude, and someone who actually had focus on his goal and knows exactly what he really wants for himself, from in terms of his career-wise and his life, because now he's been able to complete school and also now get into the league, which is great, and what we try to encourage a lot of people to do. I mean, yes, it's okay, you could take that opportunity, but don't throw away the education. So he's been able to get that, and now is big time, and it's very exciting for a lot of the kids out here, because he played in the National Stadium in Lagos, where I happen to have met him a few times as well. So for Udoka, is a very interesting story that we all can relate with, because we saw him grow from here. We saw the challenges he had to go through, the resilient spirit of the Nigerian that he showed, and just the level head. Everybody seems to be talking good about him, of how impressed they are with his attitude to work, to life, and how he take things.
Of all these guys, Precious, Udoka, Isaac, Onyeka, Daniel, Zeke, Desmond, Jonathan, who do you see in the next 2-3 years going to be wearing that ring? Who do you see among them? I don't. It's going to depend on the franchise anyway, but they are a bunch of talented beings. These guys, So, do you see any one of them in the near future?
If anyone looks close, based on how the franchises are right now, I would say maybe Precious, because the Miami Heat were this close to getting to the finals. They were at the finals. They were this close to winning, because they got injuries. Bam Adebayo got injured. Then Goran Dragic, their starting center and point guard, and he left Jimmy Butler to do all the work. And it was overwhelming, because LeBron James and company just strolled past them, even though they were able to win 2 games. But I really think Miami will come a lot stronger. They have a great leader in Jimmy Butler. Let's not forget, there's also an interesting Nigerian mix in the Miami team. They have about 4 players of Nigerian descent on that team.
Wow.
In Miami, Andre Iguodala, who won the NBA championship with Golden State Warriors, is there. They have Nnamdi Vincent, who played on the national team at the World Cup, in there as well. Bam Adebayo, I mentioned him. He's
Bam
on
of Bam.
center. And then there is I can't remember the name right now. It just slipped through my memory. Ekezie, Ekezie. He's also there as well. He was drafted last year. So you look at the fact that there's a balance of brothers you could relate with. They could help you through the ropes, help you learn stuff. Andre is a great leader. He's won the NBA championship multiple times. Played on a great team like the Golden State Warriors. He will bring in his vet leadership and of course his mentoring to the younger guys. Hopefully he resigns and stays with them. Jimmy Butler, for me, he played his best basketball last year. So if you look at the East, I would say maybe him. Then I'll go the way of Jordan Nwora, who is was drafted by the Milwaukee Bucks. Giannis Antetokounmpo is there, and I mean, it was just unfortunate what happened last season. They were touted to go all the way to the finals or even win the Eastern Conference, as it were. Jordan is a pure shooter, so I think he would complement what they have in Milwaukee. Because if you remember that, what actually was the difference between them winning and losing was the fact that they couldn't shoot the ball, especially from 3 points. Giannis is going straight to the basket and scoring. Same thing for Chris Middleton and as well. But now they're bringing in complement of shooters. We have Bogdanovic is coming through. They got Drew Holiday, a very good point guard to add to that mix as well. So they're looking more like that team that can actually fight for the title. So in between Miami and Milwaukee, they look closest as the teams that would be getting to the title a couple of years from now, if not almost immediately. And so Precious and Jordan Nwora may be the first to get some rings. But you never know. You never know. Because I just thought about it now while I was trying to round up that Kostas Antetokounmpo, the younger brother of Giannis, was on the Los Angeles Lakers team, and he has a ring, and he's just in the league. This is his rookie year, and he already has a ring. And his brother, who is two-time MVP of the NBA, hasn't gotten a ring yet.
Yet to have it.
Find a way of happening.
Desmond Bain, Celtics, Boston Celtics. Big team back in the days. I mean, there's no way you can talk about Boston Celtics without talking the likes of Larry Bird and what have you. Massive, massive teams. They seem to be going down. They seem to be rebuilding at the moment. What's the future like? What's the outlook like for Desmond at Celtic?
I think the Celtics is a great franchise. They have an excellent coach in Brad Stevens, who came in from University of Butler, not too heralded. Not very many people knew much about him, but he kept the level. He's like Eric Spoelstra, at Miami Heat, going to win the title for them with Dwayne Wade, Shaquille O'Neal, and then LeBron coming through. Those guys didn't have a big profile like Greg Popovich, or Pat Riley, or Phil Jackson. Young guys coming through the ropes. And so he came in, and like you said rightly, they were rebuilding at the Celtics once. Kevin Garnett, Rajon Rondo, and Paul Pierce left after their championship in 2008. They sold all those guys, got in new guys, and they've been maintaining a good run. I mean, this year they did well. Kemba Walker is there, very young, good side. They have Jaylen Brown, also Marcus Smart. An excellent side with no big egos, but a team that plays team basketball. So I think that will really benefit him because everybody's young and hungry. They want to do stuff, both the coach and the players. And you could see the steady progress they're making. They didn't go all the way down like Cleveland did immediately LeBron James left. They've been able to keep themselves right steady in the ship, and they've been moving through. And I think Desmond will do good, if he's able to, just get into the fray and just keep a consistent performance while he learns to rope. And just in a couple of years, he might be one on that team that will be fighting for titles.
Masai Ujiri with Raptors worked a miracle about 2 seasons ago, winning the first Northern team actually to win the NBA, Toronto Raptors. How come any of these boys were not drafted by the Raptors, especially with Masai there, who is obviously of Nigerian origin?
Sometimes these things. Okay, let me put it this way. So the NBA is very professional. A lot of people need to understand that a lot of things come to play. Teams go for what they need, not necessarily the big profile player or someone who can pull in the crowds. So if, for example, I have an effective center, there's no point drafting an Udoka Azubike, for example, because I already have someone who plays that. I'm paying him a couple of millions already, and he's effective. So I don't need to change him. So what I'm looking for when I'm going into the draft is looking for places that I have weaknesses and I want to plug. So they're looking at, okay, where do we have an issue? Okay, our point guard, we need a swing man who can pass the ball or who can get us rebounds. Then we look for who is the best, swing man in the draft. If he hasn't been picked already, we'll go for him. Who is the best shooter in the draft because we need shooting. That's exactly why I said someone like Jordan Nwora is a perfect fit for Milwaukee, because that was exactly what they were looking for. And they got someone like him, so he fits in. All Jordan needs to do is just step up, to the glory that he has from college in Louisville and what he did with the Nigerian national team at Milwaukee, and he'll be successful. So I think for Masai, I think that was the case, because you look at his team, he has a couple of Africans already. There's Serge Ibaka, who, by the way, just moved to the Clippers. He just signed the deal yesterday. He's going down to LA. There is Pascal Siakam from Cameroon. Serge Ibaka is from Congo. And there's OG Anunoby. OG Anunoby is Nigerian, but he represents Great Britain. When it comes to basketball, he's from there as well. And he has a couple of other Africans in the backroom staff, as coaches, as scouts, and all of that. So there's a large contingent of Africans, really, in Toronto. But at the end of the day, what they're looking out for is where they have needs, and so they plug in to that.
Lastly, Femi, what's the outlook for Giannis? Giannis is probably the biggest of Nigerian origin, although we try as much as possible to lay claim to him. He's called the Greek freak. He represents. So, what's his outlook for himself and the Bucks this season? Do you think getting Jordan Nwora will probably push them closer, especially with Giannis doing very well defensively, without push them to finally getting a ring for him? Because I think he deserves it. I mean, the past 2 seasons have been like wonderful. It's been brilliant, So do you think this season might just be the time, or would that be King James again standing there jealously guarding his ring?
Well, LeBron will definitely guard his ring, because the Los Angeles Lakers are also recruiting. I mean, they've done a few trades already. Dennis Schroeder, they brought in. By the way, Dennis Schroeder is of Gambian descent, though he plays for Germany. So that's another interesting African angle to look at it. But yeah, for Giannis, he almost has nothing else to prove other than get that ring. That's all he needs. He's shown that he can play the game on both ends of the court, offensively and defensively. And I just want to rub this in before I go through. So quickly, even Giannis claims to be a Nigerian. He's never taken that away. On his Twitter handle, you'll see he put his name Ugo. You know. As much as people say we lay claim to him, he also lays claims to Nigeria much as possible. He was just fortunate to have been born, out there in Greece, and he bears a Greek name, but both his parents are Nigerian, so we accept him wholeheartedly. And he's our MVP any day, anytime. Yeah, so I think with Jordan and a few other veterans, because clearly at some point when he began to struggle, remember he had a little niggling injury in that bubble. He affected the whole team because there was nobody else to carry the team in his absence. So they'll probably be looking at having one or two other guys who could assist in the load burden. And if they can find that structure, like, Kobe had Shaquille, or at the second time he had Pau Gasol, or LeBron had Dwayne Wade, to help him out on there. Every team always has that two-player superstar-ish. Michael Jordan has Scottie Pippen. If he can just start one person where he can lean on when the chips are down. Again, LeBron had Anthony Davis for this year's championship as well. If Giannis can just have that one person that could just be his side guy, I'm sure that they can go past that hurdle in the East and get through to the finals. And like they say, if you get to the finals, anything can happen from there.
Femi, been wonderful chatting to you. You know what? We need to bring you back in and talk so much about basketball. Basketball used to be a passion of mine before I got stolen by football. But I still kept you at the back burner. So anytime the NBA is on, I'm always like, yeah, go on. So especially now that the Nigerians are taking over the NBA. So it's exciting times for Nigeria, exciting times for basketball. And we hope one of these days, just like you said, not just LeBron is going to be coming to Nigeria. We'll probably bring Giannis also. And also the other big guns. We'll bring them there. Come and show us what you need to do for Africa, especially Nigeria. Femi, thank you so much for coming on the show. We thoroughly enjoyed this 15, 20 minutes with you, man. It's wonderful. And we're going to bring you back again. We're going to talk about basketball because it's one good sport.
Right.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, never done.
best of luck with Ball Africa. Yeah, we'll be following you anyway.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Best of luck with that. Thank you, Femi.
Thank you so much.
Have a nice week. Yeah. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
you too. All right, cheers.
Yeah. Wow. Interesting day today. We've had Femi. Before that, we had Lani. Obviously, spoke so much about. Yeah, Lani's still here. Lani said, "Great interview with Femi. Very passionate. Please bring him back." Definitely, we're bringing him back. Femi, if you can hear that, you're coming back. Oh, you know, we're coming back. We're going to talk about basketball. All right, Lani, thank you so much for those books. I think we will be getting in touch with you for the second person and has won the book, your book, the Lekki Club, and we'll be getting in touch with you. But thank you so much for coming on the program too, Lani. We thoroughly enjoyed the first part of this show with you. I'm sure quite a lot of people that watch this program today will have a change of outlook with regards to what we discussed about. And also special thanks also to Femi Adefeso for the clear, revealing, interesting insight into NBA basketball, especially with this new draft of quite a lot of Nigerians and of Nigerian origin that are now playing in basketball. And obviously his outlook for basketball, the NBA for this season. So that's what we done for today. Very interesting day, you know. I hope you thoroughly enjoyed it. Okay, just like I did. If you do, or if you did, please join us next Sunday, 8 p.m. into time. It's the Way Show with myself and Yomi, my colleague, that's behind the show. But tomorrow is the football show Monday. So we'll be discussing football, just football, okay? Tomorrow, Monday, 8 p.m. If you can, join us. All right, promises to be interesting. We're having a look at review about what happened to the Super Eagles in Sierra Leone. Okay, what should we look forward to? We'll be talking also about the Premier League and some other other football leagues. And the results for today: Liverpool, no Salah, no problem. So 3-0 against Leicester. You know, some people will not be sleeping well in Leicester today. Also, Liverpool, the machine is still ongoing. No Van Dijk, no problem. No Salah, no problem. No Gomez, no problem. Okay, so join me tomorrow, 8 p.m. For football show. We'll be talking more about this football, about these results. And next week, again, on the Way Show, hopefully, I'll be here with you. I will be talking more with someone very interested. Don't forget to subscribe to the show, okay, and like all our previous edition. Thank you so much for today, and hope you have a wonderful week ahead. All right, see you next week. Bye.